that I didn't know
they
about.
are struggling.
The bear trap called
About the
standings.
quality of wins, more than the quantity, really.
You say that until you're caught in the bear trap, and then you just want to get out. And that's what both of them want to do. So let's go ahead and get into it here. The draft is already underway with Varus, Anivia, and Jarvan banned out by Shopify Rebellion as Sentinels go ahead and ban out the Orianna, Karma, and Nocturne. First pick Ryze for Shopify.
Yeah, no Seraphine ban here. The Jarvan ban a little bit interesting. That is a bit of a target towards HamBak, who is known for his early game, for his aggressive ganks. And if you are going to play champions like the Ryze that are reliant on flash to kind of avoid the cataclysm, then it does make a lot of sense. But I am curious to see, are we going to get Seraphine here for Sentinels, or are you willing to give that up?
It looks like, if this hover is correct.
Never trust the hovers. I know you're used to analyst stuff, but remember, you never trust a hover. You never trust a hover.
We're going to be getting huhi Bard instead, which is obviously a pick. We talk about how much huhi loves to roam around the map, affect other lanes. Him and Rahel are never where they're supposed to be according to their opponents. Bard does absolutely help him do that.
And I really like taking the Bard early when you see Ryze on the enemy team. Since Ryze has Realm Warp, he likes to play sides. Bard is a champion that can really heavily facilitate sides. He likes to roam a lot. Taking that away from the other side, I like it a lot. And they'll go ahead and lock into Cassiopeia, a very traditional answer, if not counter anymore, to the Ryze.
Yeah, definitely not a counter as much. But I will say, the matchup did get a lot better with the removal of Phase Rush. So that is something that does kind of put a wrench in the gear, because people have just gotten so used to this matchup from the Ryze side, where when you got Miasma, you just would proc Phase Rush and then just
walk out of it.
Puff it out of it, right? Now you can't actually do that. You can play a more aggressive laning Ruin, but you are going to struggle a little bit more with the mobility, with dealing with Miasma, not only in the 1v1, but in the team fight. So that is something we have to keep in mind.
Okay.
So I'm going to be interested to see. I was going to say, I thought it was going to be Seraphine Ashe guaranteed once we saw the Bard on the other side, but instead, Ezreal is a really common pairing with the Bard, so I guess they're looking at it more as a bit of a denial.
Yeah.
And Neeko, Ezreal going to be the answer. So Seraphine Ashe is going to go untouched here through this first game.
I saw a clip the other day of Keria cosplaying a Gromp with Neeko.
Those are fun.
I wonder if we're going to get another Jungle Monster cosplay here this time around.
When I saw that, all I could think of was the Sven quote of when there's a second cannon that Berserker doesn't think about Neeko being the cannon. He thinks, two cannons.
Oh, wow, two cannon minions. It's just wow, there's two Gromps.
Two Gromps.
Honestly,
double the gold.
Honestly, I can't say anything because I played a carry and I've definitely done that in game. Speaking of AD carries,
two Gromps.
Caitlyn now locked in for Rahel. So we have Caitlyn Bard going into Ezreal Neeko lane.
It is actually a really nice setup. Obviously less traditional than the Lux Caitlyn and those style of lanes that we have seen in the past, but Tempered State into Trap, still a really powerful combo. You can roam a lot. It is pretty lane dominant. Bard is a strong 2v2 laner, and Caitlyn we've just seen, I think, be quite effective in general in the LCS. When it has been coming out, it has worked quite well. It is the most played for Rahel, and he has yet to lose on it. 37 KDA across 3 games on the Caitlyn. It has been his best pick this split by a lot, so makes sense here that they're going to go towards that comfort.
Yep, Sentinels believers, you've got a good one there locked in on the 3rd pick for Sentinels, but let's get into the second half of the bans, as neither side has their jungler. Neither side even has something that's going to flex towards jungle, so it's Lee Sin and Pantheon banned out.
And I'm most curious here to see if Shopify are going to pay that Skarner tax, because regardless of composition, I just feel like this isn't necessarily something that you want to put in the hands of HamBak, considering how good he's been on it, whether it is actually making plays with his lanes or getting key prio catches onto high priority targets. We also see the Nefiri removed for Contractz and the Lee Sin, 2 things that we've seen him have success on. And more generally, Shopify does just do so much better when Contractz is making moves early.
Yeah, it is interesting because he hasn't played Lee Sin yet this split, and really the only person playing Lee Sin in our league is Jose. But Jose has been doing really, really well on it. And sometimes when someone is smurfing on stage, everyone's like, maybe this pick is good again. And then they start playing in scrims. So that is my assumption that Contractz has been playing in scrims and they want to deny it. And there is the HamBak Skarner.
Okay.
He has been owning on this pick. I feel like he is the best Skarner player. He is undefeated on the pick, 3-0. So you have the undefeated 3-0 Caitlyn, the undefeated 3-0 Skarner. You're giving them some pretty good picks here.
Yeah, the Skarner getting locked in, you saw the overall stats for it at the bottom. 3 wins, 3 losses. If you're HamBak, you win on Skarner. If you're not HamBak, you lose.
You lose.
Even better news, Bard also undefeated for huhi. And Cassio has yet to be played, so they don't have a single champion that they have lost on so far this split on the Sentinels side. So that's sounding like it's a pretty good draft for them.
Yeah, it's looking pretty nice. Over on the other side, though, Skarner's one of the champions in League of Legends that loves to stack health the most. One of the only other ones that wants to stack health even more, Dr. Mundo, locked in for Shopify.
I've got some bad news. I was like, since I'm talking about win rates on this side, I should check the other side and see how good it is. 0% win rate on the Ryze, 0% win rate on the Ezreal.
In fairness, each of these teams only has 1 series win. And
That's true.
Until last week, Shopify actually hadn't had any of their series go a full 3 games.
Yeah, they were all 2-0s.
Which makes it even more impressive that Sentinels has all these champions they're undefeated on. And Cassante has yet to be played, so they haven't lost on a single one of these champions this split.
And
I think you need to go into politics. You've got an incredible skill for saying numbers.
It's kind of cool, though.
We've been asking, okay, when does Impact pull out the Cassante, the Scion, the Ornn? The answer is when playoffs are absolutely on the line.
You must be truly desperate to come to me now.
I see that situations have brought you back here, brother.
Well. We meet again.
And I mean, just last week, we heard in the interviews with huhi that he was talking about, Impact is not playing these picks. He's not playing these stock standard tanks. We know he'll be able to play them when he needs to, so we're kind of experimenting. Well, okay, now he needs to, because you got your back against the wall. You're about to get thrown out of the club. You've got to somehow stay on the dance floor, and Cassante's the play.
All right, important question here for you, Flowers. Being the Skarner expert here,
Skarner aspect sounds even cooler.
There you go, the aspect of Skarner.
The aspect of Skarner. Congratulations. You have a new title.
Do you prefer the Skarbok or the Hamner?
Wow, that second one made me feel icky. Let's do the first one.
Skarbok. We're going with Skarbok.
Yeah, we're gonna do the Skarbok for sure.
Yeah, Hamners sounds weird.
You know, like the Hamner.
No, we're not.
You come up with such cursed portmanteaus.
Yeah, man, I don't know what that. I don't know.
I was leaving the options open.
Let's do the first one.
I'm being the Skarner aspect. You get to decide.
I'm going to go with Skarbok on this one. He's all right. The Skarbok's got his.
He needs his nickname. He's undefeated.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see if he can stay undefeated here in this one, because this is kind of crazy how both of these teams are at 1-4. I feel like we've always looked at Shopify. I think all of us and most people on the broadcast team had Shopify predicted in the bottom 2, if not 2, definitely bottom 3 of the league, while Sentinels was also the entire time kind of a dark horse for a lot of people, but they're both at 1-4.
Yeah, the most surprising thing is definitely Sentinels because of how other players have talked about this team. We're going to go through a whole bunch of quotes on the bottom here from pros in terms of how people see or perceive Sentinels as a much better team than 1-4, right? Like Isles was actually shocked to learn they were 1-3 in his pros episode. And they've really been praised for how well they work together as a team, right? Like when Sentinels are making a decision, it seems like all of them have an idea of what they want to do with that play. Whether it's a good decision or a bad decision, you can then decide, but they are all on the same page in the way they move around the map.
Exactly. I mean, I do think it is relevant that all of these pros think they are a top-level team. And they just have not been able to convert it on stage.
Well, now's the time. Again, you've only got 7 games in regular season since it's a single round robin in a league of 8 squads. So, 1-4, that's a rough record. Sentinels really has to make sure they convert everything they possibly can. If this roster misses playoffs, that is an absolute travesty, I feel like.
Especially after the kind of surprising victories they had in Split 1, right? Like finishing 3rd overall really wasn't what people expected from them. They were like, oh, okay, maybe this roster is a little bit ahead of schedule in terms of coming together from where they started to where they finished. As Contractz.
Yeah, Contractz in the bottom lane here. huhi and Rahel trying to get away. Magical Journey. They managed to escape, but it does cost the heal there from huhi. However, on the other side, Seos used his flash only to miss the Tangle Barbs. So despite the fact that it's Shopify who commit their jungler for the gank, it's also Shopify who end up with less resources.
Yeah, and HamBak is going to be able to clear out that Scuttle Crab, potentially do a little wraparound gank of his own.
Oh boy, this Garbok.
No flash, no flash on Seos. This could actually really work.
Okay, HamBak's found his way around. Oh, nice use of the clone there. Seos dropping that one off as just sort of the sacrificial lamb there for HamBak to drag back towards the middle of the lane as he escapes.
Yeah, nice little attempt from HamBak and nice escape from Seos. I do like how HamBak kind of looks for these creative angles early. Contractz does as well, something we've kind of talked about with both of these junglers. HamBak had stated previously that he doesn't care what other junglers feel about him, but he wants laners to fear him and kind of not expect that he might be there. So a nice little attempt, especially after being able to secure that bot side scuttle.
I like that idea as a jungler. I don't care about the enemy jungler because I'm not planning on interacting with him a lot. I want to interact with the enemy lanes, and I want it to be a negative gaming experience.
And I want them to fear me.
and you want Sentinels players to look confident. We actually had a quote from huhi where he's talking about the difference between their online play, their scrims and their online tournaments versus LCS. And he says, I can only put it on nerves, right? And you have to be able to try to fight through that. You have to be able to play with confidence. If that is what is working for you in practice and online, you need to bring that same level to the LCS stage. And that is what he thinks they have been struggling with here on these stage games, because this is a team that pros will tell you they think is the top team in the LCS, and then you look at the standings, they're 1-4. They're close to missing playoffs.
I mean, hold on. Let's see. As both junglers potentially could come towards this bottom lane, but maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, Contractz just hanging around. I thought for a second we might get something totally crazy here. Never mind. Okay, huhi's going on a magical journey. Seos in danger. That's your target. Remember, no flash available here on that Neeko. Slam back into the wall, and that's going to be all she wrote. They give the kill over to Rahel, and it's first blood for Sentinels.
Again, really nice little look there from huhi, from HamBak, and now Rahel should be able to take over kind of this bot side. And again, really nice revisiting Seos. He is this flashless Neeko, being able to get the kill. I really love how HamBak sees things sometimes, and also how him and huhi work well together to come up with these creative angles.
Absolutely. I mean, and you're playing Bard Skarner, right? You have Ishtal's Impact and Magical Journey. Yeah. There you go.
Barner.
And Barner. It's a barn burner. And you can go through walls. You can come from these angles that they're not really ready for. And you can see HamBak is crossing back. They want to try to contest this.
Okay, Dragon down to about half HP. Shopify backing away, eating a couple of apples, knocking away a control ward here. Teleport back up into the top side. Impact has decided to TP back to top, so that means that Sentinels will not have him available to try to join in a fight here. Might just look for a potential pick instead. Contractz does have the canister. Still has to flash, though, as that Mundo is not very tanky, still only level 5.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Mundo, the canister pretty effective against Skarner, but as you get to the later levels, once you have Impale, you can hit him with Ishtal's Impact, instantly pop that off, and then Impale him just right after and pull him into a trap, pull him into miasma, pull him into whatever other damage you are looking for. So it is not guaranteed safety by any means, because Skarner has this kind of 1-2 punch of CC that you're expecting to be layered.
Yep, and that does mean, again, Rahel and huhi should be able to take over this bot side of the map, and HamBak is here to contest this Scuttle Crab.
Meanwhile,
potentially.
Over in mid lane, both of our competitors are pretty low on health and mana. Zinie has a little bit more to work with. DARKWINGS probably going to take a recall here. Teleport not available for DARKWINGS. Also, one interesting thing we need to comment on, since I didn't mention it at the start of the game, the lack of phase rush that you mentioned earlier, Isaac, leads a lot of Ryzes to just default taking Flash Ghost these days, and that means that there's actually a macro advantage on the side of Sentinels with the extra teleport there for the Cassiopeia. So considering what we heard from a lot of the pros was Sentinels plays the map in a very coordinated, cohesive way, I want to see if they can get a lot of extra value out of having 2 TPs to 1.
Yeah, also in a way that you might not necessarily expect, right? Because the way they talk about it is like, oh, Rahel gave up this wave to be somewhere else on the map, right? Like, huhi left lane really early to go be somewhere else on the map. And then it's, if they're getting that trade-off in kills and objectives, it sets up the Sentinels team really well.
Going to be looking for where HamBak uses his first ult. Contractz a little bit behind as far as the farm is concerned, and down that flash could be problematic. But, you know, Sentinels doing a good job. They've built this slow advantage here, up 1K. Rahel with the call scaling. I feel like they are super happy with the pace of this game. You have a very, very standard comp. 2 carries, a lot of meatballs in the front, bunch of CC, and huhi is able to set up a lot of these fights as well with that tempered fate. So I feel like Sentinels right now should be in an absolute comfort zone.
Yeah, it looks like both junglers are going to be coming down to the bot side.
All right. HamBak and huhi going to arrive first. Seos and Bvoy got to be careful about this one. HamBak goes in immediately for the slam into the wall onto Seos, and Sentinels takes him down. That is not what Shopify needed. Seos even spinning the flash for nothing there.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, he was trying to flash away from the eStall's impact into trap combo, but there was another trap in the bush, and he flashed straight onto that trap. Gets finished off, and there's the Impale.
That's exactly what you were talking about earlier, Isaac. You just drop the Impale, bring the Mundo back over, and it's all too easy for the bottom lane to knock it down. It's a 3-0 game for Sentinels, and they're about to grab the Drake off the back of it. Hold on. DARKWINGS throws the miasma out. Zinie's going to be your next target now, but they don't have a whole lot left in the tank. Flashback away from huhi. Petrifying gaze from DARKWINGS. Seo's got to be a little bit careful here. Tangle Barbs at least locks up the Cassiopeia, so he's not going to die yet. Impact, though, very, very low on HP up here in the top side. Fudge burning him down, but Impact stays alive.
Yeah, and he has a couple cookies, so wasn't too worried about actually dying there. And that's an opportunity where, you know, Contractz had a chance. You can react to the Impale with the Heart Zapper, with your W. That is so important to be able to actually have that up. So you're absorbing all this damage during the CC, and then you come out of the CC and you pop that. But he never got his Heart Zapper off. He never got that W off. So didn't have an opportunity to try to pop that and survive out of the CC. And unfortunately for him, that means he does go down and uses the ultimate as well.
Ooh, attempted flash, third and Tofo strike from Impact, but a response flash from Fudge is fast enough to get him away from danger. Sentinels did have huhi rotating up towards the top. HamBak also right beside him, excuse me, as Contractz has already claimed 1 grub, looking to take out the next 2 here. There's the second. Yeah, huhi's going to try to be annoying, but he can't really do anything about it, so all 3 grubs for Shopify.
Yeah, and huhi, his only chance was trying to contest one that didn't have smite for, but since he didn't actually have to use that smite, and obviously the finishing power of Mundo is definitely higher than that of Bard, but Rahel?
Yeah, Rahel's going to get Pop Blossom. Caught by that, a lot of burst. Uses the barrier, but it's not going to be worth a whole lot. The shutdown goes over to Seos, picks up the double buffs on top of it.
And that's a pretty tough death, I think, for Rahel. He's playing up pretty far in that lane without regard to what Seos was doing, especially since huhi had gone topside to harass at grubs, but also to try to make a play onto Fudge with Impact.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when huhi shows on the other side of the map, you've got to be really careful if you don't know where Seos is, and that's a death that Rahel will want back. Luckily for him, though, the kill did go to the Neeko and not the Ezreal. So, you know, gold is always going to be useful, period, but still going to be pretty happy that that's not double buffs and a shutdown on the Bvoy.
Yeah, exactly. And post that, Sentinels were actually able to pick up that first Drake. It is a little bit late in terms of like actual Drake stacking, especially with scaling options kind of on both sides of these teams. So there's been a lot of, it felt prior to this, there was a lot of bot lane kind of skirmishes and river skirmishes, but no one to take the Drake. And so Sentinels will be able to pick that up despite Rahel dying in lane.
Okay, 1,500 gold lead, multiple minutes until the next neutral objective comes up on either side of the river. Do we expect to see a whole lot of action, or is it probably a bit of a pause until that Rift Herald spawns?
I feel like it's probably going to be a bit of a pause. It's just kind of like, you know, do you see an opportunity for an easy pick? Obviously, you do have playmaking tools, especially with huhi having his ultimate back, with HamBak having the Impale back. I think there is a chance if they see an opportunity, but I think we're going to be looking for those big fights, probably more likely around Dragon.
Emily, same idea?
Yeah, I mean, even with, so obviously, I think huhi and HamBak are going to continue to look for plays. The most important thing for Sentinels at this point for me is to try to get that Caitlyn onto turrets and really set her up to do some damage. And then for Shopify, it's just kind of get more gold onto your carries, despite the fact that you know, the early laning phase might not have gone how you want it. And here's Contractz topside.
Yeah, Contractz making a lane gank towards Impact here. The Cassante staying alive for now. Does have the third Intofo strike ready to go. Spell immunity coming out there from Contractz. Impact is all out. HamBak has arrived, but Impact is so incredibly low on HP. Tries to go in after Fudge, but cannot do it. Impact, I know that everybody understands the Cassante moment, the amazing turnaround, but it felt like he was just such low health before it even started. There's no angle.
Yeah, I was shocked he even tried to go all out. I thought he was just going to retreat back to HamBak, and HamBak would come in and peel, and he would just walk out and try to live. That one seemed like a crazy re-engage there, but it is nice to see Contractz getting involved. He is so important for the success of Shopify.
Ooh, hold on to the bottom side. Seo's going in. Flash for the Pop Blossom onto Rahel, who continues kiting back, fighting back. Fudge, however, has teleported down into the bottom lane, and Sentinels, their duo has to get all the way away. That is double flash.
Ooh. Almost got him with the True Shot Barrage. Less than 100 HP left there on Rahel. That is both flashes from the bottom lane of Sentinels alongside the heal from huhi.
I mean, this is a really nice series of plays here from Shopify as Contractz goes top. They get the kill onto Impact. Then Fudge uses that prio to TP bot, get double flash off of the bot lane there. And is just going to continue laning down on that bot side. So really nice stuff here from Shopify. And back to that point, I mean, Contractz has been so important for this team. Even in losses, to me, he is the guy that is making things happen. He is that playmaker for the team.
The Poppy game.
Exactly, the Poppy game. He also had like a 7-1 Pantheon game that they lost to. Like, he has had some really standout games, even in losses. HamBak also, is part of that early game action for Sentinels, but I just feel like it's one of those things where when I see Contractz on Mundo, I wonder, can he have that same level of impact? Because they feel like they need him early.
I agree, despite the fact that I think we've seen really great Mundo games from Contractz, right? Like, especially last year when he was kind of one of the first, I believe, junglers to bring it out in the LCS. To that point, I actually really did like what Sentinels did overloading this bot side. Getting Rahel's Caitlyn onto this turret is kind of exactly what you want to do with the Caitlyn, and now he has a very cool, like, 1K gold lead up over Bvoy.
Oh, there's the Tempered Fate, the trap right underneath of the Rumble. Rahel and huhi going in for this one, trying to get some revenge for that earlier attempt coming out from Shopify. And it's a high caliber round at point blank range. Rahel's going to take that one as the True Shot Barrage into the bottom lane. That's twice now. The True Shot Barrage has landed, but not quite enough damage.
And with the tower shot coming in at first, I was like, well, it's not going to kill him. But then the tower shot hit, and he had to pop barrier to actually be able to survive. But
the
that was
barrier saved him.
A really nice combo that they put onto Fudge. Tempered Fate, into trap, into binding, into 90 caliber net for another headshot reset, into another trap. So that is pretty nasty stuff. He's getting so many headshots off onto Fudge, and even with the overheat, Fudge made it close, but Rahel walks away with another kill, got first tower gold, got all those minions, and denied a bunch from Fudge. Now he's up 2K.
2K, yeah. He's in a great spot. And now, again, they're going to set him up mid lane. They're going to try to get him on that outer ring of turrets, as you want to do with the Caitlyn. And they also have first setup onto this Drake.
All right, let's see if Shopify want to try to contest it. You know the Contractz is around the area, but so is huhi, so he's just going to knock the canister off of Contractz, make sure that nobody's on the approach. Yeah, there's just nothing that's going to happen here for Shopify. Sentinels up 2 dragons to nothing, up 2,500 gold over Shopify. Granted, Shopify does have both of the top side neutral objectives with all 3 grubs plus the Rift Herald, but they are really going to have to find something here soon.
Yeah, I mean, they just didn't have the setup, right? Fudge can't interrupt Impact's TP, and Fudge has no TP of his own and didn't have Equalizer even available had he walked down, so I think there's just no way they could actually contest, but Sentinels are cruising right now, all the gold right where you want it, and you can say, yeah, it's only the second dragon, we'll challenge it the next, but the problem is going to be Rahel will have Infinity Edge as he just completes now. The Caitlyn is going to be ridiculously strong, especially on 3 items is where a lot of these crit marksmen really come online. And when you have fed carries and a really powerful front line, it is strong, but we'll see if Shopify can make something happen here.
Yeah, DARKWINGS is the target. It's Zinie, Seos, and Contractz. Summoning up the Herald, going for the turret dive. DARKWINGS in a 1v3. Pop Blossom coming in early, petrifying gaze from DARKWINGS as he tries to flash and stay alive. But that summoner spell is not going to do him a whole lot as DARKWINGS does fall. Meanwhile, back over between the tier 1 and tier 2 turrets in the mid lane. Sentinels tries to make their own play. Huhi's down to about 100 HP. True Shot Barrage not going to find the mark on that one, but a teleport is going into the bottom lane. Coming out there from Impact. Zinie trying to find the opportunity to get away here. Drops the Realm Warp. They will escape. And it looks like, okay, the Herald's going to die before he gets a second charge.
I feel like that TP was really weird from Impact. He could have TP'd the whole time on that dive. You know, DARKWINGS made so much time there. He was surviving forever. Maybe Impact's read was you're just going to insta-die, but then to TP that late and get nothing feels pretty rough because he could have easily saved his mid laner if he just TP'd early.
Going in after Seos. Trying to make sure that they grab the kill here. Wait, HamBak turned around? Wait.
He got juked. I think he thought the other one. He thought he was, pretending with the clone and running the clone to the left and then going right. So
okay, well, honestly,
escape from Seos again.
Fair play to Seos then, because they really wanted to get that kill.
But the other half of that is, if it is the clone going to the left and it's the real one going to the right, he has nowhere to go and he's guaranteed to die anyway. So you should always chase the one.
Yeah,
to the
you
left.
always chase the one that's going to escape.
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely an oopsie from HamBak. Nice play from Seos. I think kind of does juke him out, but should have been a kill for sure.
It's one of those plays that when you're the Neeko and you make that play, you're like, this shouldn't work. It'll work maybe 1 out of 20 times, but I'm going to try it anyway because the only other option is I'll die. And hey, 1 out of 20. There you go. Meanwhile, back over in the mid lane, Bvoy down to half HP. Huhi very, very low, about 350 left here on the board. True Shot Barrage.
HamBak tried to flash predict where Bvoy was going to shift. He flashed Ishtal's impact, and Bvoy shifted the other way. So he just flashed on air, basically, unfortunately for him. And that is now flashed down for HamBak.
It doesn't happen with old Skarner. Old Skarner, you just flash ult them. It's not going anywhere.
True.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize your vendetta against new Skarner.
I don't have a vendetta against new Skarner. I like new Skarner. I just miss old Skarner because I spent a decade with him.
I like new Skarner, but I love old Skarner.
That's unironically,
you're that X-Men meme, like stroking the picture of the old Skarner.
He's got a special place in my heart.
Look, man, the new one's not purple, all right? It's important.
He's trying his best.
Look, you can put a purple chroma on it.
That's true. That's what you got to do. I'm sad more pro players don't use purple chromas. But we still do have a 4-3 game. We still do have Sentinels up about 2,000 gold. Remember that their largest lead so far this game was about 3K. So Shopify have done a good job of making sure that Sentinels don't continue building leads.
Yeah, and I think it was the Sentinels' response that seemed a little disjointed, right? Like that TP from Impact, like you already pointed out, Isaac was really weird. Even though DARKWINGS did buy a lot of time, that bought Sentinels some time themselves, got them that turret, got them a lot of more vision control than they've had in this game down on the bot side. So with Drake up in like less than a minute, they should be looking to kind of push this wave out. Fudge is already on it. And try to get some vision down to contest this Drake stacking.
I'm a little bit worried for how Contractz is going to deal with Rahel, because obviously Spirit Visage, very, very good on Mundo. You know, there is a Cassio that you have to deal with, but Rahel is the super fed member. You have bought zero points of armor, and he already has the Last Whisper. So you're always going to be behind the pace of this carry at this point of the game. You can start working towards the Deadmans or whatever, but he's going to be on LDR before that's done.
And I feel like that's the way that stats generally scale between carries and tanks. Tank stats are stronger as a baseline, but carries have more stats they can invest in. They all multiply off of each other, and once the carry hits that 3-item point that you're talking about with the big armor penetration, it's like, okay, well, my gold is less than your gold now.
Yep, can't catch up.
All right, Contractz finds the bone saw onto HamBak, who has to use Ishtal's impact defensively to regroup with the rest of Sentinels. Remember that Sen has the first 2 Drakes so far. If they can get this next one, it will be Soul Point. But Shopify is moving up. Shopify has the health bar advantage for now, thanks to the poke that has hit notably HamBak and Rahel. Rahel has some apples that he can grab, though. They do have the control ward down here in this side brush. HamBak, though, at about 60% HP. This isn't where you want your Skarner to be. Seos on the approach here from the side. There's the equalizer. HamBak staying alive for now thanks to the Tempered Fate, but he's down to 200 HP. The Skarner is about to die. HamBak stays alive for now, but he cannot participate in any sort of a fight, and Shopify secures themselves the stoppage for the Drake stack.
Nicely done by Shopify, but I gotta say, the setup was not good from Sentinels there. Like, look at that trap line. What is that stopping, right? You know, they just showed up late to the objective. You want the trap line across one of these entrances, and then you want it to be, if they try to filter through, Miasma is there as well. And then they're
I have been updated by producers. It is a monitor flicker, so hopefully something that can be resolved very quickly.
Very comfortable in this situation right now on the Sentinel side. Yes, they did mess up that objective setup. You know, Shopify not out of this by any means, but I would absolutely favor the position that Sentinels are in. And there's the Last Whispers had already been completed before the last fight. Now he has the Crit Cloak, so very close to that LDR that will be coming through.
Yes, sir.
And it is going to be problematic as long as Rahel is not getting poked out. But that is an if, because we see all the poke that is available from Bvoy. And if you get hit by a couple of Mystic shots, you know, True Shot Barrage, and then Equalizer just gets dropped on your head, you might not die, but you might not be able to fight.
Yeah, you can't position yourself as well as you would want to, as we see Shopify kind of creeping up into this topside jungle. And for me, for Sentinels, it is about where they put this Fed Caitlyn, right? Like, protecting her, making sure she is in a good position in a lot of these team fights, dealing with that poke coming out of Bvoy, and potentially sometimes even Seos.
Sentinels trying to aggressively posture here, fighting for vision control over the top side river, but Shopify will manage to defend their control ward on top of the Phaelite. As Sentinels are forced back to the tier 1 turret here in mid. This tier 1 turret still has so much health on it.
Yeah.
Bloodletter's Curse done for Fudge, which is going to get a lot of extra value here. It is that MR shred for not only him, but for the Ryze, but for the Neeko, and even Ezreal and Mundo have a little bit of magic damage in there. So quite an effective buy here. And in general, Zinie is just way less effective against Caitlyn. So I kind of like going just AP tanky style anyway, because you go into stasis, you get trapped, and he just kills you later.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you've got 2.5 seconds where you don't do anything, and then I'm going to headshot you for half your health as soon as you're done. Like, all right, sure, dude. But we have less than 3 minutes until the next dragon spawns. Again, that will not be a soul. Ooh, that was not what huhi wanted.
Mundo, no passive.
Yeah.
Type it in chat.
Put it in the chat. Mark it for the next 10
Follow
seconds.
up, question mark?
Team?
But in the meantime, despite the fact that that pick did not work out, Rahel is able to get that tier 1 in mid for Sentinels. So that is that full outer ring of turrets down for Sentinels. So they should be able to, you know, respond in these side lanes, get their waves pushed out, hopefully, and kind of move their vision line up on the map.
And that's going to be LDR. Winnie base is pretty much guaranteed.
Yep.
There it is, completed.
There we go.
And we still do not have a point of armor purchased by Contractz. He has a lot of gold, so I'm assuming he's going to be going into Deadman's next.
And reminder, as we're waiting for the teams to figure out which one of them is worthy of potentially heading further towards their playoff dreams, the spring finals are happening in the Mullet Arena in Tempe, Arizona on June 13th and 14th. Single day tickets available. You can go ahead and use the QR code on your screen right now. Check that out. Get yourself a ticket. Show up. I'm going to be there. It'll be a great time. I love our road shows. Hope to see y'all participate in that as well. And now Sentinels with control over the top side river, a little bit more vision being established. huhi leading the charge into the enemy jungle. They're trying to make things a little bit scarier here for Shopify.
Yeah, this is exactly what they should do, right? Like, get that vision line up around where the Baron is. So, essentially so that Shopify can't play as much with Fog of War and the poke that they have, because that is actually a massive benefit. If the map is dark for Sentinels, they can just kind of poke from wherever with this Ezreal. So, right now it's just kind of a vision battle and a setup battle.
Yeah, Zeus has completed his Seekers, so, you know, we talked about the Caitlyn interaction. Sometimes it's still worthwhile, because if you can get in on top and you can just have everyone piling in, then maybe they can't follow up, but big fight here.
Yeah, HamBak's already lost about half of his HP. Zinie coming in here with the Realm Warp. HamBak reinforced by Impact and the rest of Sentinels, though. So it looks like we're just going to get so far one ulti for nothing. huhi, however, does take a big chunk of damage coming out from Bvoy. Tempered Fate forces a reposition from Shopify, but doesn't actually tag anyone. Zinie's got to be careful now as DARKWINGS moves forward, but Zinie's still just fine. Hit by the Noxious Blast, but no follow-up there from Twin Fangs. Sentinels control over the top side river, trying to secure the crab of Bvoy with a beautiful snipe onto huhi. The Bard is dead for free. Equalizer drops down. Sentinels, they secure the crab, but now they have to run away. It's a 4v5. Contractz continuing to march forward, but he takes a big chunk of damage coming out from Rahel.
Yeah, that is scary stuff. He cannot charge too much more forward, and it is going to be the dragon spawning, though, and huhi's still dead, so it should be their dragon. Very likely going to be 2-2, but on the other side, Sentinels are going to try to rush Baron here. Cassio and Caitlyn do kill this fast, and Shopify not responding that quickly.
Yeah, I really love this from Sentinels. They're saying, okay, we know that we're 4v5. We know that you're going to take the dragon. We're going to try and get Baron instead. Shopify now aware of this. Ocean Drake has been claimed. by the Rebellion.
Seos behind them.
Sentinels still on the Baron for now. Got it down to about 1,600 HP. Seos with a big multi-man ulti, but it's not going to matter. He's dead. Nobody else is around. Fudge nearly slammed back into the wall, but he flashes away, keeping himself alive. Contractz, 2/3 HP, walking back away here from the Mundo, but huhi has respawned, and he's locking Fudge down. As the Meeps, that was not exactly the portal that he wanted. It's all right. They should still have plenty of range to take him down. So Fudge drops, Seos drops, Sentinels gets the Baron. That was actually a huge sequence that started off so bad for them.
That was actually really nicely done from Sentinels, basically calling Shopify's bluff, right? Like, we know we're down a man, which is unfortunate. The poke did get us up around Baron. However, we're going to call your bluff. We know you're going to be going for the Drake. We have a fed Caitlyn and a Cassio. We can try to rush this Baron down. And then Seos was just... huhi's really so annoying. Seos was just so far ahead of his team on this flank, right? Because Fudge is still making his way up. Yeah. Oh. And then he gets stunned by Petrifying Gaze. Yep,
Petrifying Gaze right on the engage into the Pathmaker stun, and he just got killed before he could even get the stasis off. Yep. And then Mundo, they knew Mundo wasn't there, so that's why they finished it, because they see the kill credit on the Dragon going to Contractz. They know he's on the other side, and Mundo without ultimate is useless. Mundo without ultimate, it is so
big
hard.
cannon minion.
Exactly, walking into these fights. So Contractz then does show up, but he shows up late, and he just gets destroyed by the carries. So great call from Sentinels. A little bit disjointed on the engage was Seos, and really nice timing on Petrifying Gaze from DARKWINGS to be able to set that up.
And now the question is, how much can Sentinels get? Again, before this most recent sequence, 90 seconds ago, Sentinels' biggest lead so far this game was about 3,000. Now they're up to 4,000. You really want to see them be able to push this advantage and find something that they can really command the game from at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's where wherever they put this Caitlyn, turrets should just die, right? So
that's 4-item Caitlyn. That's 100% crit
chance. She is very, very far ahead. Also, a reminder just for what is on the line for Sentinels. If they do manage to take this series and DSG win later today, they will lock a playoff spot. However, if Shopify do manage to take this series and DSG win, they will be eliminated.
Yep. So if you're a Sentinels fan, if Sentinels win, you love DSG.
Yeah.
If Sentinels lose, you hate DSG.
Yeah.
Every Sentinels fan opinion about DSG is going to change dramatically based on the outcome of this series here today.
Ooh.
As the true shot barrage finally finds that shot. He gets the kill. Nice hit there from Bvoy. 2-0-1 on the Ezreal. At least going to slow the tempo here a little bit for Sentinels, but they're still very far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it slows it down, I actually think a lot, right? Because Zinie is able to get some damage onto this turret and should be okay, despite the fact that Impact is coming over here because Contractz is there to back him up.
Yeah, I also really like the Impact to just win Knight's Vow. Support items make sense at a point in the game like this where it's you have two really strong carries. The game is entirely about those carries. Yep. Doesn't matter if he gets a little bit more tanky by going for a different item. Support items are the way to go in a game like this. It's all about that extra protection for DARKWINGS and Rahel, because you can be as tanky as you want, but if your carries die, you're not winning the fight.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And, I mean, the Shopify poke, again, is pretty difficult to deal with.
Sometimes I think back to all the LP that I could have had if I was willing to build Knight's Vow in solo queue games. I just couldn't bring myself to do it, even if it's objectively correct.
Some lines I just won't cross.
Nope.
There's just one of them.
The line I won't cross is helping my
playing
teammate.
for my team instead of myself. It's called solo queue for a reason.
Oh my
There's
God.
one person here, and that person is me. All right, Shopify, let's see how well you can bounce back. It's still only about the same gold lead that it's been for so long now. I still feel like this game is within striking distance for Shopify, but the big problem that I have is it feels like they haven't really been making any decisions the entire game long. They're just reacting to what Sentinels is doing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just all about Rahel. Can Rahel be protected? Sentinels are probably going to win the fight. Can Rahel be one-shot? Hey, Shopify got a real chance. Rahel now has that rapid fire, and he is just so strong. No one is going to be able to stand long against him.
Okay, Contractz doing a good job there, using the canister to block HamBak's Ishtal's impact from going through the wall and finding a more valuable target. No engage from Sentinels despite the attempt.
Yeah, the red buff is healing him up quite a bit, actually, so Contractz held onto the ult. That is important. He's going to have that level 3 ultimate for this fight, and that is a good trap line. Sentinels have a better setup on this one.
Okay, Sentinels also securing themselves the Scuttle Crab. Remember, this is not sold for either team because Shopify has got the past 2 Drakes. This third one about to go their way. There it is, secured by HamBak. Tempered Fate just barely catches Zinie on the very edge as the equalizer is used defensively. Sentinels continuing to regroup. Nice use of the magical journey there to get all 5 players back together. However, they're now cut off from their own base by Shopify. Rebellion trying to find some sort of an angle here, but HamBak going in. Ishtal's impact back onto Fudge. The rumble into the stasis immediately, but into the back line goes Zinie and Seos. They found impact. He's already down. The tank is out of the way. Sentinels still scrambling, trying to maintain lines here. Shopify want to find more. They need to find more. Huhi fires back at Bvoy, who keeps himself alive for now. HamBak very low, trying to escape, has to flash. Seos on the side. Manages to lock up DARKWINGS. Sentinels continuing their retreat, playing around Rahel, who's still full HP. So the dust settles, and we end up trading 1 Drake for impact.
That actually could have gone so much worse for Sentinels. That was a really nice, clever play coming out of Zinie and Seos to get onto impact and kind of destroy the frontlining he'd been able to do. So as we see, they take the Drake down. This does catch onto Zinie as Equalizer comes down, and the fight, we already talked about how the magical journey goes through.
And I also just really like, the timing of the Realm Warp, because it actually protects Fudge, right? Because Fudge is in this spot where Fudge gets trapped up, and it's looking like, okay, you are cooked. He goes into stasis, he's going to get trapped, he's going to get killed, but then the Realm Warp comes in from the side and pushes back Rahel, so he can't actually follow up and kill off Fudge. So it was a 2-pronged play. Not only did they knock down Impact, but they protect their top laner with the same move.
Now we are back to dancing around the top side river. No dragon for the next 3 minutes. So the focus is going to be around this Baron pit. That is a big wave crashing into the tier 3 turret top side.
We haven't really talked about it, but Zinie is quietly getting very strong. He's got a lot of farm here, and he has been on that actualizer for a while, had it for the last fight, now has his own arm guard to boot, up 1.4k, so it is becoming a battle of these 2 carries. Zinie is dangerous, but the difficulty for him is going to be the range. Can he actually get in and safely hit these people as yet another Tempered Fate is sidestepped? Shopify have been on point in avoiding those. Yeah,
they've been doing a really good job at making sure that it's just a space creator and not a playmaker from Huhi's Bard. As the goal lead is as small as it's been, I feel like, in the last 15, 20 minutes. We're 35 minutes in right now. As Zinie, he gets a shield from the Seraphs. Contractz just going to eat the ace in the hole. And everything's fine. Zinie's going to have to take a reset, though.
Losing that Seraphs is pretty big, though. If they do fight before that cooldown is back up, that is a lot of your protection, especially because it's amped by, the actualizer as well. So, is something that they need, and Sentinels are going to try to force the issue. They're just right onto the dragon.
I love this from Sentinels, noticing, hey, you don't have that cooldown. Let's go for this. Let's force a fight. Contractz looking to try to approach, steal away the Baron, slam back into the wall from HamBak, who immediately walks back over and just smites it down. Now Contractz having to flash away, keeping himself alive. HamBak less than half HP. Contractz slowly regenerating with the Mundo ulti. Sentinels continuing to try to retreat as Shopify wants some kind of a punish for losing this Baron. Shopify got to be careful, though. Seos here in the front line goes in for the Pop Blossom. Impact unstoppable here in the front line, but he's burning down. Impact's already dead. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far. Support for top laner. Sentinels continuing to try to make a little bit of space, get themselves away. 1-for-1, Baron goes to Sentinels.
This time the timing on the gauge was actually really nice from Seos, and he got the stasis off before he got hit by the Petrifying Gaze, so he was able to get that off, CC up these soul laners. Impact falls again. These are such scrappy fights, but because both teams know if they overcommit into their opponents, they're going to get wiped, it is just like these skirmishes where no one is actually getting finished off a lot of the time.
Yeah, and as we see, I do like HamBak. I was wondering if Bvoy was going to be able to get in on that. But as Contractz gets suppressed, right, like he's able to flash out. And then as you had already talked about, I really love this equalizer from Fudge as well. Kind of forcing Rahel and huhi off of this. And then here's the engage coming out of Seos, learned from last time, goes into stasis. And even though he dies, taking out the frontliner in Impact and removing that Baron is a little bit more important than losing your life for an engage.
I feel like this is the squishiest K'Sante I've ever seen. He died without using all out. It's not like he shed his resistances to go in and try to do some drain tanking. He just died. Impact is paper if Shopify focus him down.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. I mean, hey, maybe I was wrong about the Knight's Vow. It seems like it was the right choice, but he is dying in a hurry. There's a lot of damage on the other side. You know, it doesn't look like a good tank-killing comp, but they are doing it very effectively.
Now it's time for the battle for the Ocean Soul. If Shopify get this, they will claim that soul. Impact losing about half HP here again. Seos looking for the potential flank, looking for the big pop blossom that could win the entire team fight, is marked, however, by Sentinels. Dragon still at about 3/4 HP. Fudge off to the side, trying to be mindful of the position of the Caitlyn traps. Oh, Contractz ate a ton of damage there. Ace in the hole blocked by Zinie. Equalizer immediately summoned up by Fudge there to try to create a little bit of space. Zone Sentinels away. Bvoy stepping up on the side. However, immediately the Tempered Fate has already collided. Seo's forced to pop blossom into nothing. The miasma keeps him stuck in place as the Dragon is ultimately claimed by Shopify. But what is the cost? Sentinels goes forward and Bvoy has already died. Zinie tries to get away, takes Contractz with him. Fudge is using teleport defensively, just trying to escape. Meanwhile, there's a massive wave crashing into top, a massive wave crashing into bot, and Contractz and Zinie aren't even going to escape. They're both about to die. Is this the end of the game right now? Sentinels barreling down the bottom lane. It's Fudge versus 5, and just like that, Shopify, they make the big play to try to contest the Drake. They get it, but at the cost of the entire game. Fudge falls in the 1v5. Sentinels, with all 5 men standing, push into the enemy base, and 39 minutes in, Sentinels take game 1.
Sentinels finally able to get the job done in that fight. The engage was just not effective from Seos, and then as they're trying to retreat on the side of Shopify, there's so much chase down here from Sentinels with the Tempered Fate, with the Magical Journey, with the Ishtal's Impact, with Caitlyn flashing forward.